All right, we're live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today we've got a lot of exciting updates to cover in the live stream today. Lots happened over the weekend. The first thing that I'm sure everyone is thinking about if they were watching the cryptocurrency prices, maybe before they went to bed last night or when they started checking their phone this morning, is like, what's going on with the Ethereum price? I mean, it's absolutely exploding. It looks like it's like just blasting off towards 10K, but you need to be careful. Okay, we're going to talk about in this video. There's a lot of awesome stuff to talk about, a lot to celebrate. We've covered a lot of ground, but you have to exercise caution right now too. We're talking about why, look at a lot of other updates, and a lot more. So before we get into that, if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step-by-step, start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. And last but not least, it's not financial advice. Nothing I'm saying in this video is designed to tell you to buy or sell any cryptocurrency. And there's lots of scammers down in the comment section below impersonating me. I'll never give you my phone number or ask you to invest with me. Just ignore them. So we got a bunch of people jumping in the chat here. We got Crew, Brad, Sammy, Charles, Camille. Welcome, Felipe. Awesome. So let's go ahead and jump into this big update here. So ETH is absolutely melting faces. Okay, the price exploded over the weekend. We rocketed straight through $4,000 and are currently hovering at a price of about $4,111. Let's pull the price up here on my screen. So we saw massive green candles over the weekend. All right, let's just pull out the 7-day chart here. To be honest, I was a little concerned that we would basically just kind of like, see a correction first thing this morning, but it looks like we're holding strong. And it looks like at this point, we're getting much more likely that ETH is going to reach its, hailed price prediction of $10,000. I think we're getting way more likely about that. I've talked about that a lot on this channel. This is a famous price prediction. I've always said this is possible, but I always want to be cautious about that. But as we're approaching these levels and at this velocity, this looks like it's way more likely to happen. That's how you always have to think about these markets, is in terms of likelihood, okay? Because nobody actually knows what's going to happen for sure. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Nobody else knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So, if you think about it, there's a lot of crazy metrics here. So we're just a little over a 2x away from that price point. We're also just a little over a 2x from a $1 trillion market cap, which would be an absolutely crazy milestone. And depending on what happens with the Bitcoin price over the next few weeks, months, it's looking even more likely that Ethereum could flip Bitcoin this year. It's absolutely crazy, okay? We've talked about that a lot on this channel, whether that's possible. I've always thought it is possible for everything that you can do with Ethereum. You can use it in DeFi, you can stake it, all kinds of stuff. You can do way more with it than Bitcoin natively on the network itself. ETH being a blockchain that can power smart contracts, be a world computer, the financial rails for a new financial system. That basically all that value can actually accrue to the asset itself, and that's way more than you can do with Bitcoin. And for those reasons and a lot more, then ETH could be worth more than Bitcoin in terms of market cap and be the #1 cryptocurrency. I've always thought that's possible. That being said, we didn't know how long that would take or if it was a guaranteed thing that's going to happen. And if it does happen, will it be a permanent flip? But it's looking more and more like it's possible that we could see that sooner than a lot of people expect, maybe even this year. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I'll repeat it again, not financial advice. You have to look at these things in terms of likelihood, but at this point, it's looking way more likely. So now that everyone's starting to think that with ETH, what's going to happen with Bitcoin? Are we going to see, some unexpected moves there? Because if Bitcoin, breaks out of this sort of sideways motion that's been happening for a really long time, then that would change the dynamic quite a bit. We could see ETH and Bitcoin start to diverge. Bitcoin gain some ground while ETH is either moving up slowly, sideways, or down. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below or in the chat here. Do you think that ETH is going to flip Bitcoin this year? Or do you think we're going to see Bitcoin make a massive move soon? So let's check out what's going on with the Bitcoin price. So like I said, Bitcoin has been moving mostly sideways on the 90-day. All right, we are starting to see a little bit of bullishness over the past maybe 14 days. All right, we're starting to see a track and upward trend here. We might break past this resistance that's been resting against for, quite some time now. Let's see what the actual, all-time high is $64,000. Okay, so we're headed back towards that direction. And what's interesting about this is if Bitcoin actually does get flipped by ETH this market cycle, assuming that we're still at a boom and bust cycle way of thinking about the cryptocurrency markets, it can really change how we start to think about our on-chain metrics. So we can look at those right now to kind of see what's going on with the cryptocurrency markets. For example, Glassnode. We'll check on that here in a minute. But going back to what I was talking about a minute ago, so we have seen a ton of crazy price action with Ethereum, the asset itself, over the past weekend. But now also is the time to exercise caution. I made a video about this last week, but I want to bring it up again because if you're brand new to the cryptocurrency space, it is important to be careful because check this out. When you look at the chart like this, and you see this amazing run over the past year, you zoom out in the year timeline, this looks like a parabola, okay? When you look at a parabola on a price chart like this is not the maximum point of financial opportunity, okay? This is the time that most people in other markets would say, okay, that's not the time that I want to buy. So it would not surprise me if we saw a correction in Ether very soon. Okay, ETH tends to move this way. I've talked about this a lot in these live streams where it gets kind of boring for a while and then boom, something crazy happens. And then, we start to see, kind of some sideways chop or maybe some bearishness for a little while. And then boom, something crazy happens. We see some bearishness here, big explosive move, a little bit of bearishness or some chop. Okay, so don't be surprised if we see ETH go back down after this and then have some sort of accumulation period again, okay? So that's something to be very careful about. But on the whole, we can take this as a massive bullish sign that ETH is very valuable in the eyes of lots of people. I think we are probably seeing some bigger players accumulate ETH that we're going to hear about later. That's what tends to happen. People basically buy behind the scenes, and then you hear the news stories about it, after it's happened. So, these are mostly rumors, but they also are sort of just stand to reason, right? Like you think about why is this happening? Why do you see these big price moves? Big players can buy in size in ways that retail investors can't. So I have a feeling that we're going to see some of this come out pretty soon. So we'll wait and see. So let's look at Dogecoin because, this is one that did not do so well over the weekend, all right? So I talked about this on my Twitter. We had SNL on Saturday. There was sort of like a situation where people were just waiting for something crazy to happen with Dogecoin. I didn't actually watch SNL, so if anybody did and they have any thoughts, let me know down in the chat below. Or in the comments if you're watching this video after the fact. But, I was telling people, we had to be careful about Doge because this could definitely be a buy the rumor, sell the news situation with SNL. And, let's see, we peaked up around 72 cents, all right? And it's not looking so hot right now. So the thing about Doge is this is definitely the type of thing where you can't just treat it like Bitcoin, where you expect it to be in this long-term bull market, and just buy the dip and systematically buy the dip because we have a good reason to think that Doge is going to reach a certain price point. I mean, Doge still, I think it's possible for it to hit $1. I talked about this last week, but the momentum is not in its favor right now. Okay, that's definitely the narrative for Doge is it's going to $1. Everybody jump on this rocket ship, while it's leaving the launch pad type of situation. And it still could, but, we're talking about things in terms of likelihood. It just got less likely. The momentum is in the opposite direction, and we could see Doge absolutely dump way back down to these price levels. That is very possible. Talk about Doge will possibly end in tears for many people, and I think it probably already did over the past weekend. So I feel bad about that for people who've lost money, but I mean, we've been telling everybody to be very careful on this channel for weeks now. So one thing that's possible too is Dogecoin profits rotating into other cryptocurrencies. We're seeing gainers on the chart here. We've seen other stuff do pretty well over the past 7 days. We saw a lot of the profits, or we saw the ETH price move a lot over the weekend. I think some of that could be the Dogecoin profits rotating into ETH for, smart folks who got out, realizing where this is headed. Another possible reason for the ETH price going up a lot relative to Bitcoin is I think people's financial IQ in terms of crypto markets is higher than it was last cycle. Not on the whole necessarily, but there's a larger number of seasoned people or smart people, I guess smart money. That's what I'm trying to say. Because there's a lot of smart people who are new to cryptocurrency and make a lot of mistakes just because they don't know how it works. Like that's not a diss on anybody. That's just the nature of reality. Anytime that you're brand new at something and you're like good at other things, it doesn't mean your skills just transfer over. You have to learn how that thing works. But I think there's a lot of people who will have other skills that transfer, like good finance skills, that are going to understand like risk reward, and they're going to understand like upside potential in terms of like Ethereum versus Bitcoin. I think you're going to have a lot of people who just realize a bigger upside potential in ETH over Bitcoin. That's another reason we could see it flip. So when you see sort of quote unquote smart money jump into the space and quantify returns at this point in the cycle, ETH looks like a more attractive option to them than Bitcoin, I think, in many cases, because I think it's got a higher upside potential because of the market cap, everything you can do with ETH. And it will have a much lower downside potential than a much newer project. Like if you were investing in another layer 1 blockchain that hasn't shipped their working solution yet, or, is still in a very early phase with not many users, it's got way bigger downside potential than something like ETH does. And so people realize that. I think that's another reason that it's a strong leader in this horse race right now. So talking about DeFi, decentralized exchanges, everything you do with ETH. I put this tweet out this morning as I was just looking at some notes for this particular live stream. And sorry, let me turn my notifications off here. I saw this tweet that will help people understand like why DeFi isn't so important, especially people who are in, the cryptocurrency space already. Why we really like DeFi is because you are a custodian of your own funds, right? That does come with some downside for sure. Like you have to be careful with large amounts of money, but there's also lots of benefits. So I put this tweet out here, just like literally right before we went live. It was this retweet from Binance talking about, withdrawals are temporarily suspended. I was like, this is why we DEX. So basically this is why people like decentralized exchanges. And you're seeing this in real time. So basically if you have your funds, and you're trying to move them around quickly, and then someone just says, well, sorry, you don't have access to your funds. You know what I mean? That's a middleman, that's a custodian that's saying, well, I know you gave us your money, but we're not going to give it back right now. So that's sort of one of the downsides to centralization. Now, there's downsides to decentralization. I mean, you have to be careful with your money. You could potentially lose it, all right? But you have to weigh, like, what's more important to you? Access to your money, full control over it, or, potentially having it locked for a period like this. So this is the same kind of thing that happens in, traditional financial system all the time. If you've ever tried to do like a wire transfer at a bank, you've ever, you might have had experiences at banks where they'll just like not let you have access to your own money. And it's like, what is going on? Like, this is my money. You work for me, you're the bank. But it's crazy. It happens all the time. And this is one of the big benefits of decentralized finance is that you have full control over it. Now, like I said, you have to be careful with your money. That's also a potential downside risk is you have full control over it. And if you mess something up, then, you mess something up. And so some people will like custodial solutions because, they want someone else to control their money. But I do think there will be a sweet spot where we can get the best of both worlds for what most people want. But I think that future, also includes letting people have full control over it in a DeFi way where they're custodying their funds. And I think we'll see, people with varying degrees of risk tolerance participate in that. But I think we can also see people participating with varying amounts of money. So it could be the same people. So like a person who's very conservative or cautious, I should say, with their risk profile might have a majority of their funds, held by a third-party custody service. And then maybe a smaller amount of their funds that they want to, use on a daily basis, they could self-custody or something like that. Or then you'll see people who just, don't want anybody to touch their money because they want full control over it and keep it all for themselves. So that's also a possible solution down the road too. But this is, whole reason I bring it up though, is you're seeing why people demand decentralized finance. One of the reasons. And why it's performing so well, why ETH has so much potential. And so we're seeing, another reason I say kind of be careful with the crypto markets is we're starting to see so much froth in terms of, activity. We're seeing tons of search traffic go up like crazy. So we're seeing crypto exchange web traffic hit 530 million visitors in April. So I don't know if you follow many web statistics, but that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. So more and more people are, signing up for exchanges, trading cryptocurrencies. I put out the tweet last week. We were talking about, exchange, Twitter followers, Twitter engagement, all that type of stuff being bigger than 2017 all-time high. And that's kind of where we are with the market right now. Same type of situation for their website traffic. You can also track this on Google Trends. You can get insight into different cryptocurrency keywords. And the reason I say be careful with all this is because when you have much faster influx of traffic, that can be a sign of bubblish activity where, some people are here for short-term gains. And they're just rushing in, trying to jump on this train, and you have all this momentum build up before that bubble pops. So let's see. So look at some cryptocurrency keywords here on Google Trends. We can look at Ethereum. We can look at NFT. We can look at Bitcoin. I'm gonna pull these up on my. And you can look at, you can see these. So Ethereum is way past its all-time high. Look at this search volume. This is also a pretty good indication of the what's going on with Ethereum interest versus Bitcoin. So see Ethereum way past its all-time high, all right, of 2017 or early 2018. It's over doubled basically because this is at a 40, all right, hold on a second. This is, the numbers get thrown off when you put multiple metrics on here. But the whole point is, look at this. You can see Ethereum starting to converge with Bitcoin. Bitcoin search volume is declining, and Ethereum search volume is increasing like crazy, and they're about to touch each other. So basically, the whole point here is ETH search volume is about to flip Bitcoin search volume, which I don't know. I think that's a pretty good indication of where we're headed in terms of market sentiment for these cryptocurrencies. So you see that with NFT, all that kind of stuff. These trends are going crazy. So if you got any questions here in the chat. Somebody said, do you think ETH reached past 10K this year? Like I said, I'm always very careful with talking about the prices. I do think it's possible. I don't think there's any guarantees. I don't think there's any guarantees in life. You got to think about these prices in terms of possibility. The fact that ETH has reached $4,000 to where it is today on a relatively short time frame, is way more likely that it could reach $10,000 in 2021, okay? With that being said, you have to think about this stuff in terms of the speed too, because if it reaches $10,000 next month, that could be an indication of, sort of euphoric activity, all right? And anytime we see euphoric activity, the cryptocurrency markets, it's, historically speaking, it's not been good for the long-term health. So we can actually track euphoria on Glassnode here with the net unrealized profit loss. We also have this metric for ETH. I don't really check it much for ETH on this live streams because we typically use the Bitcoin price to kind of determine the overall market health. But like I said, if ETH becomes number one and Bitcoin becomes number two, then the dynamic of this could change and maybe we start reading the markets differently, okay? So, Bitcoin here is at 0.65, okay? So we're about, it's basically the same as it's been for past, week or two. Not much change. I mean, that stands to reason because the Bitcoin price hasn't really changed that much. I mean, it's getting slightly more bullish, slightly bullish trend, but not too much change. We can actually check this metric for ETH as well. I don't know how meaningful it is for ETH. I have to look at this more to kind of get a better insight on how, Nupal would work for ETH, but we can check it. I don't see it on my dashboard here. I had to go to the studio. I can research this and check it out on another stream, but I'm pretty sure the metric is also available for the Ethereum chain as well. So another funny thing that I saw happen over the weekend was this. Uh, so I saw some Bitcoins for sale on Amazon. So I actually ordered one of these. Maybe I'll use it in my live stream, a prop for a video. This would be awesome. So I was saying, hey everybody, I found a website where you can buy a whole Bitcoin for $6.50. This is great. They sell ETH coins too. They sell Doge coins. But talking about cryptocurrency prices, somebody tweeted this out over the weekend too, and I retweeted it, and I thought it was pretty good. So they're saying, things my family said to me about crypto. 2017, you're a real Warren Buffett. You're a genius investor. 2018, you told me to buy X. It's a scam. I'm selling. So 2018 was the year of the great crash. 2019, silence. That's basically what was happening in the crypto markets all year. 2020, I would sell your crypto soon. Giving him advice. I would get out because I've seen the loss here. 2021, should I buy Doge? And then May 2021, if I hadn't listened to you, I'd be rich on Doge. So this was, I retweeted this because it's so true. And I said, this is one of the primary reasons I rarely give investment advice, because if I'm right, you'll think you're the genius. And if I'm wrong, you're just going to resent me for it. Either way, it's a lose-lose situation. People hang on to what you say, then they're on a different wavelength, and then they do something different from what you say, or they draw the different conclusions. And there's just no upside in many cases to giving the financial advice. I thought that was great. And another use case for DeFi, I talked about the DEXs this morning, a couple minutes ago with some of the metrics, but I saw this tweet and retweeted it as well because I thought it was, pretty good insight. So DeFi for normies, basically people who aren't huge into crypto, a simple savings and lending account. So this is why I think we can have high yields stay around 6 to 9%. Millennials and Gen Z are crypto first. 2 clicks, take out a loan, provide capital globally. And the supply and demand for this market is huge. So sorry, somebody spam in the chat here. Let me just, if you spam the chat, I will mute you. So let's see here. Except the chat's moving, so. Okay. I think this is huge. I've talked about this for years. Basically, how I think savings and lending can be the killer, app for mass adoption, especially with mobile access, because it's a use case most people can understand. Basically, if you can just have a mobile app on your phone where you can just 2 clicks transfer money into it and earn high interest on your savings on a stable coin, I think that's huge. Most people can understand it. I get 0 point whatever percent in my savings account. Most people realize that's terrible. And if you can just download an app, then you have to know they're using crypto. I mean, it's if you just tell somebody, download an app and earn better interest with a few clicks of a button, that's a way better marketing pitch than saying, use my blockchain DeFi project to do yield farming. Nobody's going to download an app for that. But if you just tell them the benefit for something they're used to, and then blockchain actually does something cool behind the scenes to provide them with that benefit, then, that's a huge recipe for mass adoption. So let's see here. We're going to go to the questions in the chat. So Chainlink, we can check on the Chainlink. I don't have any, predictions on the price or anything like that. Chainlink's an awesome project for sure. I think it's critical for DeFi, critical for a lot of stuff we're building on top of Ethereum right now. Yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty, if I would just glance at the chart, this looks pretty bullish. Of course, a lot of stuff's kind of going up right now. So it could just be following the trends of other projects that are similar. No real predictions, but yeah, I like Chainlink. Any updates on ETH 2.0? No, not really. I mean, it's will be a while. The optimistic case is the merge happening in 2021. The more conservative case is the merge happening early 2022. We don't get firm timelines about this type of stuff ahead of time. We get some speculation. Typically, whenever we have sort of an announcement date, it's right before we know it's very likely to happen. they typically don't come to consensus on like a release date until pretty close to the deadline, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that's good because that helps manage expectations. I know it sucks to be a waiting game for people like, oh, when's it going to get here? When's it going to get here? But, you know, if you're building something incredibly complicated, it's notoriously hard to estimate. And so the worst, what you really don't want to do is set people's expectations too high, and then you deliver, you way underperform those expectations, because then that's terrible for the sentiment of the project. So, you know, optimistically, the merge happening in 2021, that's basically where the two chains merge together. Proof of stake gets turned on for the Ethereum that everybody uses. And then the more conservative case is probably early 2022 for that type of thing. But we will still have, but here's the thing, layer 2 scaling solutions are still slated for release very soon. You know, EIP 1559 is slated for July. So these are all things that can make the user experience on Ethereum great, a lot better than it is now, very soon. And ETH 2.0 doesn't have to arrive in full force before you get those benefits. So you have to understand that. And we're even going to have Ethereum layer 2 scaling solutions when ETH 2 arrives in full force. So people talking about Ethereum being too slow, too expensive. ETH 2 is not just going to magically fix that by itself. We need these other things in order to make that problem better. And they'll be here before ETH 2 will. Somebody says, do I need to stake my ETH to roll into ETH 2.0, or will it convert automatically? So you won't have to do anything. You'll have ETH on ETH 2.0 if you hold ETH on ETH 1.0 now. And you don't have to stake on ETH 2.0 in order to use it. What do I think about Loop Ring? Yeah, it's a cool project for sure. All right, just a reminder, if you spam the chat, I will mute you. So can I explain oracles and links? So basically, oracles provide outside data to smart contracts. So all smart contracts know about on the blockchain is other information on the blockchain, like who holds how much cryptocurrency, how much, when are transactions sent, what do other smart contracts know about, like other DeFi apps. They don't know about things like cryptocurrency prices. So it doesn't know what the current price of Ether is out in the real world, because that's how Ether gets its price. Okay, Ether basically gets its price from a market, like an exchange, for example, and it's not programmed into a smart contract somewhere. So if you want to get this information, you have to get it from the outside world, and that's what Chainlink does. It's an oracle. So basically, you could trust me as an oracle to tell you what the price of Ether was, but that's not very trustworthy, because I could, you know, manipulate that and lie to you. I'm not saying I'm going to lie to you, but I'm saying that's a risk. Or if you just had somebody else you didn't trust. But like Chainlink, what it does is it gets a lot of different nodes together, kind of like a blockchain. It's a decentralized protocol. So they all come to a consensus on what the external price is from these data feeds, and then it feeds that to the smart contract. And the link token is what's paid to those providers as a fee for doing that. So it has a real use case in their ecosystem. Somebody says, how much of a correction do you think we'll see? Market looking too good to be true. Yeah, that's a good question. So there's two different opinions on this. Like, are we going to see are we in a boom and bust cycle? Are we in a long-term bull market that's going to last much longer than the last one that we saw and won't have as crazy of a correction? I'm prepared for a boom and bust cycle where we'll see a big correction. If that happens, what I think would happen in that case would be much newer projects would probably experience a really bad bear market. But older projects that have been around for a while, so the test of time, would see less of a bear market, especially projects that have, you know, favorable tokenomics behind them, like ETH, for example. So if you can stake it, there's still gonna be people who want to stake the ETH, secure the network, you know, people who want to use it in DeFi, ETH being a deflationary asset, potentially at peak times with EIP 1559, you know, very favorable tokenomics in that case, stuff like that. not getting hit quite as hard. I mean, I think it will still be bad if we have a bust cycle for sure. I'm not saying it's going to be just, oh, not so bad. I mean, I think a lot of people will absolutely freak out if we enter into that phase of things. That's the other thing I think about the sophisticated people in crypto. If they think we're going into a bear market, what are they going to do? They're going to short. And if they short, then that puts a lot of pressure downward on the price. Crypto is a lot more sophisticated in terms of the financial instruments available to people who know what they're doing. People who like to make money no matter what direction the price is going and are capable of doing that. So they're going to pick a side and say, all right, let's short this thing into the ground. And that can help cause a pretty bad dip too. So we'll see. It's all about probabilities, like I said. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so the more people can learn about blockchain. If you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, how can you get your hands dirty, get started today? Well, you can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find any of my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I can show you become a blockchain master step-by-step from start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. All right, you don't have to be an expert to get started today. Help people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. Until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.